A very warm good afternoon to one and all, and a hearty welcome to the esteemed panelists of the day. Before we get this discussion going, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce this illustrious panel to our audience. It's my pleasure to invite Ms. Nandita Sinha, VP of Customer Growth, Media and Engagement, Flipkart Internet Private Limited, onto this panel. Nandita is a seasoned sales and marketing professional with over 16 years of work experience. She joined Flipkart in August of 2013 after stints in HUL and Britannia Industries. Prior to joining Flipkart, Nandita was the co-founder and director at mybabycart.com, where she was responsible for running the business, developing and implementing strategies to acquire loyal customers, increase revenue, and manage the bottom line of the company. Nandita heads Marketing and Customer Growth BU, which consists of marketing, media, events, CRM, and research and insights at Flipkart. Nandita has always been a Flipkart first person and is passionate about solving problems through customer centricity and innovation. Nandita holds an MBA in Marketing and Strategy from FMS Delhi and is a BTech graduate from IIT PHU. A very warm welcome to you, Nandita. It's my pleasure. Thank you. It's my pleasure to now invite the second speaker for the day, Ms. Ritu Venkatesh, Manager Business Operations and Lead WLI Group, ZS in India. Ritu has over 15 plus years of experience in the analytics industry across India and Europe. She has been at ZS for 5 years as manager, leading analytics work for a large pharma client. Having supported clients across 20 plus markets in solving their analytics and reporting problems while ensuring operational efficiency through offshore-focused model, Ritu also leads the Women Leadership Initiative in India that supports women in building a successful career at ZS. Her expertise in report design, rationalization, and operations for HQ audience across therapy areas. She has partnered with clients across US, European Union, Asia, LATAM, and AFME to build analytics and reporting capabilities that helped provide them the desired business and market insights. She brings in rich experience in designing cost-effective and fit-for-purpose solutions for price-sensitive markets. Prior to joining ZS, Ritu has 12 years of experience across India and Europe in marketing and risk analytics in financial services sector. A very warm welcome to you, Ritu. Last but not the least, it's my pleasure to introduce the third speaker on this panel, Mr. Narayanan Balasubramaniam, Executive Vice President, Europe Strategic Business Unit India Leader, Capgemini. Naru, as he is famously called, is EVP Europe SBU India Leader at Capgemini. He is responsible for all the engagements delivered from India for European clients in the application services space with a strong mandate to grow the portfolio in accounts across the world of digital and cloud, working in close collaboration with the global business lines. He is accountable for delivery quality, solutions, highest customer satisfaction, and drive competitiveness through innovation and automation. People transformation is at the heart of his leadership, and he has been instrumental in moving talent up the value chain through a focused and differentiated skill building program. Naru brings more than 2 decades of rich and diverse industry experience. He joined Capgemini in 2010 as Director, SAP Solutions Center. In his 9 years with Capgemini, he has held several leadership roles, starting from SAP Transversal Leader to Package Business Head for Continental Europe. Prior to joining Capgemini, Naru was associated with Wipro Technologies for 11 years. He has the unique experience of having lived and worked in 6 different countries, US, UK, Germany, Hong Kong, China, and Japan. Naru has a degree in engineering from the Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Milano. Wow, that's such an illustrious and diverse panel that we have today. It's my honor to now throw open the discussion on fostering inclusion in a hybrid workplace. The hybrid working model is a work style that enables employees to blend working from different locations, be it home, on the go, or the office. They also have the flexibility and the autonomy on the work timings. We are now moving towards a hybrid, geographically distributed, and virtual workspace. COVID has accelerated the pace of this change. This panel today will discuss and deliberate on the future of hybrid working and how organizations are preparing for the new normal. May I now request each one of the panelists to give a brief 1-minute opening remark on the concept of hybrid workplaces and what it means to them in the context of inclusion. I'm now requesting Ms. Nandita to go first.
Thank you so much, Anju. It's my pleasure to be here today with the panel and with you and discussing something which is both things are very close to my heart. One is inclusion and diversity and how we foster it at the workplaces. And second is, I think this new world that has opened up to us in the last 2 years, I think or last 1.5 years, I think as we, before the pandemic, if you would have asked any one of the leaders that is hybrid or is work from home or remote working, a sustainable solution to delivering high quality work and growth, almost everybody would have said that, this seems very unlikely that this is the model that will succeed. But I think the idea that a truly black swan event can throw you into will throw you into a place where you will be forced to innovate and forced to really change how you work. I think it is actually quite poetic if you think about it, and for me that's very interesting. What it also, I think two myths have been busted as we've spent this 15-18 months in working remotely. One is that remote work can't happen. I think that myth has been busted in a sense that everybody understands that if situation demands, if you put your heart and mind to it, I think across every organization, the organizations really innovated very fast. They got technology into place, they got practices into place, policies into place to ensure that everybody gets a level playing field as far as remote working is concerned. And over the last few months, we've also innovated in terms of introducing flexible and more compassionate work policies to be able to help employees manage this work-life balance in this 24/7 always on mode that we have.
The second, excellent, Nandita. I'm going to come back to you more on the policies and practices bit, because that is something that I'm sure our audience also is going to be very keen to understand what's innovative and what's transformative that's happening. Also, the fact that the proof of concept has already happened. Nothing could be more global, universal in scale. Great thoughts there, Nandita. Thank you. I now move over to Mr. Naru. Please, on some opening remarks from your end on the concept of hybrid working and in the context of inclusion.
Thanks, Anju. To add to what Nandita said, I think work from home is here to stay. The remote working is kind of become the new normal, and that's what we have proven to the world in the last 17 months. So I don't think there is any rush to go back to the office or convert everybody to work from office mode. But just to summarize, as a famous quote that we have in Capgemini all the time is we say that you continue to work from home as far as work is concerned, but let's come to the office to connect with people. I think what is very important is both from an inclusion standpoint and also from a people standpoint is how can we connect with people in this new way of working? Because everybody is working from home. There is obviously a high degree of burnout. So you need to find out ways in which we stay connected with people, bring in a sense of ownership to the organization that you're working with, to the clients that you're working with, and foster a nice camaraderie with people. I think that's the new challenge. And hence, some kind of physical meeting of people is important. It can be in workplaces away from work as well, but that's really where we are heading towards. But the hybrid way and the work from home model is the new normal, and it is very much here to stay for many, many years to come.
Wonderful. I think the aspect of social connects probably something that the process of isolation has deprived many of us from. So a beautiful point there. And I'll come back to you with more questions around that, Naru. Thank you so much. I now move on to our third speaker, Ms. Ritu. Request you for your remarks, Ms. Ritu, opening remarks, please.
Thanks, Anju, and thanks for inviting for the panel. Very glad to be part of this group and discussing this very important topic. I think one additional aspect that I will add here is that while we all agree that this model is here to stay, and everybody has innovated and found a way to work around this, I think what's coming next is going to be very interesting. Is that how research is going to be done on this in terms of how this model needs to evolve, what needs to change, how technology is now going to support and evolve to support this model. because this model has been there for many years, but there was a very small proportion of people who were leveraging it and using it. And now all of a sudden, when you have a large chunk of the population using this workforce, using this rather, it's really going to be interesting to see the changes that we need to bring about, the challenges we need to overcome, and I think that's going to be very interesting.
That's a very important point that you've touched upon, Ritu, the kind of, how do we now redesign our workplaces? How do we now redesign the way we operate so that all of these models of work can coexist? Beautiful. Coming back to you on that as well. So thank you so much for your opening remarks. I now move to Ms. Nandita with my first question, which is on the policies and practices that Flipkart has adopted in terms of coping with the COVID-induced change, and how has that impacted the mindsets of people? How have you seen people, adopting very actionable strategies, your employees, in terms of embracing this new model of work and the hybrid model of work? Nandita, over to you.
So very quickly, I think two pieces to it. I think Flipkart was one of the first organizations. I mean, like every other organization, as soon as the pandemic started rearing its head in March or early March 2020, in fact, we went to quickly declare work from home. So actually, the second week of March, we started working from home, the entire organization. So I think Flipkart was really quick to adapt to that model. The second thing which really worked for us is really get technology working for us to ensure that all of these large teams would come together in a seamless manner and ensure that all meetings, all work, whether it was innovation, whether it was deployment, whether it was a business development, everything actually happened seamlessly. The third piece, which has been very critical for us, is our frontline colleagues, right? We have a large number of colleagues who are, who are posted on the front line, who actually play a very important service in helping all consumers citizens across the country to get goods on time. And a lot of it actually was essential and has actually become more essential as the pandemic has progressed over a period of time. So really helping them in their safety, creating a lot of education around safety, health and wellness, building new policies in terms of insurance for everyone, COVID care for everyone across the entire population, building new safety protocols for the frontline workers. I think that was very, very important to us. And we did a lot of work around that. We also were able to launch our biggest flagship event, which is the festive sale event, which we call Big Billion Days remotely, which was a feat again, which none of us thought we would be able to do, but it was very heartening to see the entire organization coming together online and building that event to the moment. It was one of our most successful events, and we were able to do that remotely. I think as we go forward, and we look at the hybrid workplace, I think from a policy perspective, what is going to be very important is two things. One is we have to ensure that inclusion is a part of this new policy of hybrid workplace also. It cannot be, research has shown, even as we get into this, that it cannot be a matter of choice. There has to be a policy. It has to be equitable for everybody, because otherwise you will start seeing inequity in the way different people show up to office, and different biases, proximity biases, etc., will start creeping up. I think the other thing which is important is that as we did that in the first set of our, completely work from home environment, there was a lot. All of us brought our complete selves to work. Like none of us was only a professional who came to work and, you only saw that one two-dimensional person, but everybody, like you have kids walking in, dogs, chiming in, pressure cookers going off. We all saw complete selves. And a lot of work happened in Flipkart, and I'm sure across the organizations, to build health and wellness as an integral part of this work from home and hybrid work environment. I think the amount of conversations that have happened on mental health, wellness, bringing it forefront to the conversations which were erstwhile taboo also in a lot of cases. I think that needs to continue as we continue with this hybrid work place model. So two things. One is policy has to be equitable for everybody. You can't leave it to choice or chance. And the other thing is that we all need to embrace this very welcome change, that we are full, complete people who are coming to work, and we bring our complete, authentic selves to work every day.
Excellent, Nadana. I think that was a complete framework that you kind of talked about in terms of, a 360-degree coverage of what organizations should be looking at when we look at hybrid workplaces. And the fact that biases, I think this whole aspect of proximity bias that you mentioned, that's going to be something that distance bias or proximity bias, as we call it, something that companies need to lock their horns with and kind of get it cracking. So thank you for your thoughts there, Nandita. I now move on to Ms. Ritu. My question to you, Ritu, is as an organization with global footprints, do you see the hybrid work model as an opportunity to deliver better customer service and experience to your clients? What are your thoughts and take on this, Ms. Ritu?
Sure. Yes, sir, sure. The answer to that is yes, because we are a professional services firm. And as we begin to design our future of work model, this is one of the key objectives for us to keep in mind. We've already started. So currently we are 100% on work from home as an organization, across most of our offices globally are working from home 100% online. And also the offices in India. But yet we have started thinking about what our future of working model will look like. And our core, when we started thinking about that, starting to design about that, we kept our core purpose and value in mind to make it more real and actionable. Because like you mentioned earlier, there is no one size fits all solution in this. We have to keep in mind that there will be different people with different needs. So therefore, as we think about this model, we are focusing on fostering and further strengthening relationships between people. So between ZSers, that's what the future model should take care of, between ZSers and clients, and with our vendors, while at the same time giving people the individual choice and giving people the control. So, for example, if you have a new employee who has never been to the office, never seen the office, it's important for that person to come to the office and to understand and experience the collaboration, the culture better. If I'm trying to set up a relationship with a new client, again, spending a little bit more time side by side the client is important to give them the right solution, and also for me to build more trusted relationship with the client. So there are essentially, three guiding principles by which we are going as we are thinking about our future of working model. Because for us as a professional services firm, what would work? One is we value our offices. Because the culture, the collaboration, the apprenticeship model, the innovation, our offices help us deliver that a little bit more easily. The second one is that we want to maintain proximity with our clients. So our clients like to work side by side with us. And also we know that we are very good at building trusted relationships once we are closer to our clients. And the third one is that we want our people to have flexibility. And greater flexibility we are convinced greater flexibility, and we have seen this through research, leads to more engaged employees. It also gives us access to a wider, more diverse workforce, and this will help us at the end of the day to service our clients better, build better solutions, more innovative solutions for our clients. So that's how we think that our hybrid work model, as we think about it, is ultimately geared towards we as a professional services firm, how we deliver to our clients.
Excellent, Ritu. I think, especially from the industry that you belong to and the kind of client centricity that your operations require, the fact that you mentioned, I've heard of this concept called chair time somewhere, right, where you need to actually be on a chair and devote that time with the person at the other end. And I think working side by side and the social connects that we talked about is something that has to be plugged into the hybrid work model. Very important points there. Thank you so much, Ritu. I now move over to Naru. So my question to you is about very interesting research study that Capgemini Research Institute has conducted. In fact, when we did our research to put together this topic, this was one of our reference points. So on the research study, The Future of Work from Remote to Hybrid, I would request you to share a few interesting insights that you see emerging from the research study and your thoughts on the same. Over to you.
Sure. Yeah. So on the future of work, we did kind of a survey with close to about 500 organizations, and we must have spoken to about 5,000 professionals. We also spoke to academicians and research people besides just our client employees. I think what is really coming out very clearly, and it might not be a no-brainer now, is obviously the remote working and hybrid model is going to stay. And 75% of the clients did respond that they expect our people and employees to work at least 30% of their time remotely. I think it is going to be even much more than that. From a 2020 standpoint, obviously it made a lot of sense with the world going into a bit of doldrums. A lot of cost savings happened in terms of infrastructure costs came down. You didn't really need to rent and lease a lot of properties, etc. So, but I think that's now a thing of the past. What is very important to note is even people, when they join us or when they join organizations, they expect this kind of flexibility of working remotely, and that percentage can vary. Today, it's, as Nandita and Ritu said, it's as close to 100% today. But probably in the years to come, and with vaccination drives going up, probably the remote working might be something at 60% or 70%, but it's still going to be there. But the key finding that we had was about the burnout and the emotional connect needed with our people. So yes, hybrid work model is going to stay. People will work from home. But as human beings, the need to connect with people, the need to have an in-person meeting with people is going to be super important. So, and hence, as employers, as organizations and as leaders, we need to really think through in terms of how do we engage with our people, and especially with today, that there's so much of turnaround going around, people moving from one organization to another organization. A lot of people coming into our companies are new people. So how do you connect with them? How do you emotionally connect with them? And how can you show this empathetic side of leadership is going to become much more important than just being a great business leader. I think those are some very key insights that we found.
Thank you, Naru. I think you covered a very important point there about empathetic and inclusive leadership, because I think at the core of any design, any work model, it's leadership accountability, leadership commitment that kind of drives it, and also the fact that it's not a choice today that we engage in a hybrid model. Almost for every industry. Of course, there are industries where the proportions vary, the skews are different, but it's no longer a choice. So it's better that we grow and adapt to the same. So thank you so much for your thoughts there. I now come back to Nandita with my second question to you. So we talked about leadership, you talked about mental health and well-being and policies and practices towards that. So what do you think should be at the core of a hybrid designed workplace in terms of driving inclusion? How should that, what should the core look like in terms of driving inclusion in the hybrid context, Nandita?
I think, some very great points I think made by the panel around both like inclusivity of needs of the organization. So if there is a client connect needed, or if there is a team connect needed, I think the one thing which is going to be very important is that we will have to customize our policies to be able to suit the needs of the working population that is there within our organizations. So I think we'll have to find that balance of what is really working for our working population, what is the vintage, what is the kind of work that they are doing. I think that is customization is going to be key on how are you deciding and how are you building these policies. I think, again, technology is going to play a great role, because like what Ritu said, remote working has been there. Very small amount of people have been using it. We are also currently 100% work from home mode right now. From December, we go into like 2 days working from office and 3 days working from home. For now, that's the plan. But this will throw a whole new set of challenges on the technology side. How do we ensure that technology is seamless so that nobody actually feels excluded from the way that the meetings, etc., are conducted? I think the third thing, which is going to be very, very important from an inclusion perspective, I think, and I reiterate that point, is that policies have to be designed such that, everybody gets the same chance depending on their team of being having the kind of connects that are required, and nothing should be left to chance, because otherwise proximity biases would start creeping in very, very quickly. People will make different choices based on life stages, and that will start impacting the workplace and how different kinds of people will grow within the workplace over a period of time. The third thing I think, which is very important, and that is something that Flipkart did very well over the last 1 year, was really doing a lot of connects together online based on different things that employees said were important to them. So whether it was about a wellness class or an exercise class, or even counseling, with mental health professionals one-on-one, or whether it was a fun class with your pets and your children, and baking and hobby classes, etc. So I think really creating a fun environment even while you're being online. I think the fourth thing, and I think we all are experiencing this now, which is a lot of movement happening within the workplace, where a lot of people are either changing within the organization or moving to different organizations. I think the need to connect with your colleagues, build that personal connection, and build that feeling of collegiality, if I were to say that, you have to come together and work for a cause. All of us work for causes. We all have our whys and we work for causes. So I think to be part of that cause, it's very important to connect outside of this virtual environment. I think that's going to be also an important pillar for us as we go forward. So yeah, that's, initial thoughts on how probably we build an inclusive hybrid place.
Excellent, Nandita. I think you talked about policy, you talked about technology. That's going to be a big differentiator or a divide, the way we leverage it, we look at it, the kind of looking at differentiated needs. And I think beyond everything, the need to have fun. Because I think workplace humor, I read an interesting paper around that very recently. So the fact that one of the key aspects of engagement is also that need to have fun. So that kind of has a contribution. How we experience humor and fun at the workplace also has a contribution to how belonged you feel to the workplace. So thanks, Nandita, for some very important thoughts there. I now come over to you, Ritu, with my next question, which is on how do you see the hybrid work model evolving in the next 2 to 3 years? What are your thoughts on, what is the line of sight that ZS in India is looking at, Ritu?
Yeah. Sorry, I think working from home. So we all live in the moving environment. My laptop ran out of charge, so I had to move. Yeah. So I was glad you asked that question. I was already beginning to touch upon that question in my opening remark in terms of how I see this evolving over the next couple of years. There is already, based on the little usage that has been of the hybrid working model in the last few years. While everybody is aware of the benefits of flexibility, of this flex model, there is enough evidence to show that it has its own challenges. So collaboration, recognition and promotion, gender imbalance, sense of belonging and engagement, all these topics were touched upon by Nandita and Naru, and these are the challenges. So couple of things that I see happening over the next couple of years, next 2 to 3 years, is that research will happen. A lot of research will happen to see that what is the impact, and that research is going to drive the change in the policies and the practices and the measures that and of course the tech changes and the tech evolution is going to be propelled because of the demands. So that research is going to be important for all of us to be wary of and to look out for and evolve our working model. So today, most companies are looking at anybody who's going hybrid. It's about, like Nandita mentioned, Flipkart is looking at 2 days working from office and 3 days working from home starting December. So ZS is no different, looking at similar kind of a model, adopting in a phased manner, coming in a couple of months or early next year. But the challenges is what's going to be and how we tackle them, how we think about them. So if I were to touch upon a few of them, so collaboration, till now everybody is online. So we all have to engage through Zoom or technology. But once some of us are offline and some of us are online, then ensuring that everybody's ideas are heard, everybody is engaged, equally is going to be very, very important. So it'll require building a new muscle for collaboration, literally sort of, top down, setting up this understanding that everybody's idea is important and why diverse thoughts matter is going to be important for this. We talked about recognition and promotion and the distance biases. Again, there will have to be ways to overcome that, be it through more empathetic leadership trainings, be it through more understanding of the fact that, getting our leaders overcome the bias that proximity matters. It has to be, the performance has to be, or the performance measure has to be more outcome based. And not proximity based. So these are some of the things. Another one very important and unfortunate is going to be that while we're all in the last few years, many companies have set this 50-50 North Star vision. Some of them have also fortunately achieved it as well. Is gender imbalance is a big threat, because reality is that even today women are still the primary caregivers. So there is a fear that as we go into this hybrid work model, women may take this model and adapt this flex working model more. And if that happens, then, again, the challenges of, lesser networking and lesser mentoring for women. And if there is this proximity biases, all of this is going to impact women the more. So again,
I'm going to get back to you on that, Ritu. Again, that's a very, very important point that you made. Now that there is some sort of balance, what if it goes to imbalance again? And the fact that it could jeopardize probably some of the efforts that have been happening towards gender inclusion, if not handled in an inclusive manner. Excellent thoughts there, Ritu. Paucity of time, I would now move to Naru for my second question to you, which is about, again, the context of a global organization and especially your experience across geographies. So how do you see a multi-geography kind of a population engaged with the organization? How do you see this hybrid work model play out differently in different geographies? And what does that mean to the India geography?
Sure. So Anju, I think COVID has kind of has not been partial with anybody, so it has kind of impacted the entire world, right from the US, UK, Europe, UK and Europe, where I'm more focused on, and India as well. In fact, it started way back in Jan to 2020 that my first countries of Italy and Spain got impacted. But of course, the last 18 months, a number of these countries have taken, say, better strides. Of course, their population is also limited, so more and more people have got vaccinated. We are also doing that, but I guess given our population size, etc., it's going to take more time. But if I look at UK or continental Europe, US, more and more people are now fully vaccinated. So the need for going to the office and connecting with our clients, and Ritu made a good point there, is while you can do a lot of work from home, but clients, especially in our kind of organizations and IT services, they need a bit of a touch base. There's a lot of comfort when you sit next to them and when you guide them, etc. So obviously, the back to office or going back to a workplace is much more accelerated in our European, UK, US countries, those places. But at the same time, obviously, the flexibility of working from home versus working from the office very much remains. So I'd still say probably only 15-20% of the time people are back to the office. But now when it comes to India as well, of course, we have a bit of liberty of trying to, today 99% of our team is continuing to work from home. But again, going back to what Nandita and Ritu said, we will have to start getting people back to the office, if not for anything, especially for connect. So I go back to the old mantra that, yeah, you can continue to work from home as far as work is concerned, but work is much more beyond work. The need to connect, the need to establish an emotional empathy with people, compassion. So those can also need to learn and have some fun as well is important, and that is possible only in a workplace. So gradually we'll have to start moving even in India to more of a hybrid culture.
Excellent thoughts there, Naru. In fact, as you spoke, I was thinking about the 3 C's that emerged from each of you. I think it is all about collaboration. It's about those connections that we make and client centricity. It kind of emerged because when in the avatar context, we keep talking about 3 C's in the context of women's careers, and what we are referring to are the domestic chores of cooking, cleaning, and caring, which is a very important point that Ritu mentioned, that women continue to be responsible in most households for those 3 C's, but organizations continue to be responsible for the 3 C's that we just talked about. And I'm just loving this discussion. The researcher and me would just want to take a pen and document each of the points. And I loved the way that all of you bulletized your points. There were multiple A's, B's, and C's that came. So I'm going to go back to the recording and definitely document all that we spoke today, because that holds promise for a lot of change that we want to see in organizations tomorrow. So before we close, I would like some closing remarks from each one of you. Let me just draw a kind of a boundary around what I want as a closing remark from each one of you. As a leader, what are the top 3 commitments that you would like to make to actually make this hybrid model of work in an inclusive manner? As a leader in your individual capacity, because we are talking about the Power of I conference, hearts and minds is our theme. So we would definitely want to know, as a leader, what are your top 3 commitments that you would like to make for the hybrid model to work? I would request Naru to go first.
So I think the most important thing, that the personal commitment I've been making to myself in the last few months, is the need to connect with people at a personal and emotional level besides work. I think work is happening quite well. There is no second thoughts about it. But the need to connect with people and need to kind of show them a bit of a career path as to where their career is heading and what kind of a bit of a mentoring and coaching, if I have to use those words, is that's the biggest commitment I've made to myself. And also never to stay away from the whole work from home model. You can easily be to yourself. You can just attend various meetings and then be to yourself. But every day I remind myself that what is that extra effort I have made to connect with our people, with our clients, and with the ecosystem as a whole. That's the biggest commitment I'm making.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Naru. Over to you, Ms. Dandita. Top 3 commitments that you would like to make in your individual capacity to make this hybrid model work.
I think as a leader, I think there are at least the things in my mind which are top of my mind as we get back to a hybrid model of work will be learn, unlearn, and re-agile. I think the first few months, 6 to 8 months, will be a lot of unlearning and learning. We will all go with certain assumptions, and we will have to be very, very vigilant to see what's working, what's not working, and be agile. I think that's my first commitment. I think the second one is around engagement and coaching. So again, I think really, there will be a set of people who are jumping to get back to work, and then there will be a set of people who really believe that this is the environment which is working for them. So how do you really engage with each sets of different people? And that's what you can personalize and customize. And I think coaching, because again, everybody has different, I think what you want from life, everyone is really looking at it very differently over these last 16 months. So I think being a good coach in that environment would be the third thing that I think is one of the important.
Beautiful, Nandita. I think that's so much of clarity in terms of what one can do from your own capacity. And the fact that all of us, how we look at life has actually changed over the last 18 months. Very true. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. And over to you, Ritu, for your closing remarks on what are those commitments that you would like to make in your individual capacity.
Thanks, Sanjay. I think for me, the 3 things would be: one is to try and make flexibility the standard for everyone, so that it's not understood, it's equitable. It has to be, understood as equitable. The second one would be, as both Naru and Nandita talked about, is coaching is very important. Ensuring that you build a trusted relationship with your team members and engage with them as a whole. Encourage them to bring their whole selves to work, because I think that sense of belonging, that engagement is important, which could go with hybrid model. And the third one, I think in my capacity as the lead for the Women's Leader Initiative in ZS, I would be quite focused with my team on ensuring that we don't fall into the proximity bias. So that's going to be important.
Then I would like to add that I think inclusion and ensuring we don't fall off the wagon on that one is going to be, I think, most critical for all organizations. So I think that would be definitely a personal and an organizational commitment to keep working on.
Excellent. So I think it's been a very enriching conversation in terms of not only from an organizational context, from an individual context, because I have moved cities over the last 18 months, and I really know what this proximity bias means. As the conference is heating up, and all of my colleagues are there at work, I am today sitting at a very different place here in Kerala, but contributing to the way in the conference I can. But I really feel that missing out on a certain part of collaboration. I really feel that missing out on the connect part. And I think coaching is what probably is making the difference. The fact that leaders are telling us that this too can work, and anybody can be included, and the fact that you can engage with diverse talent. I think that's a possibility. One of you mentioned that aspect. I think it was Ritu who mentioned that aspect, that now the doors are open to engage with talent from anywhere across the globe, right? So the fact that's the other side of it. So it's been a great discussion. It has been so many learnings. As I mentioned earlier, I was itching for a pen and a paper to actually make note of each of the points that you mentioned in terms of how best can we make it work as an individual, as organizations, as decision makers and people who can influence policies at organizations. How can we drive change? So thank you so much. Thank you, dear panelists. It was a great discussion. I look forward to staying connected with each of you. And we will have some very interesting questions that will come up from the audience. And let's brace ourselves for some of those complex questions that our audience has today. Looking forward to staying connected with everyone and wishing all of you a great conference experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a great conversation so far. And we have some very exciting, interesting questions that we have here. The first question that we have is from Pallavi Chopra. She asks, is industry equipping for digital body language in a virtual work environment? Ritu, I would like you to take this question. What's your take on this?
Very interesting question, Pallavi, from you. I think we touched upon this, the technology will need to evolve and it will try to keep pace with us as we go into hybrid model, work from home model. So definitely this is one route that that industry will explore as well. Holographic calls are already a reality. And if that becomes mainstream, I think the digital body language actually will become less of an issue, because if you've seen videos on holographic call, they're absolutely like somebody sitting right across the table from you with a glass. So these kind of evolutions, research, new tactics, new ways of working. It's a new field out there. And new things will evolve and come into play.
Excellent, Ritu. I think the aspect that technology and AI can affect so much of change, and so much is already happening, and there is a lot more that could happen that can bridge probably the difference between the real and the virtual. I think that's where hybrid falls into. I have another interesting question, and Naru, I think we briefly touched upon this during our discussion as well. In terms of marginalized, underrepresented workforce and their representation, do you think that this workforce, the underrepresented workforce, diversity talent, is going to be more comfortable working from home, working remotely, as they can remain probably in their closet, in their comfort zones, and are not viewed differently? Would inclusion be more organic that way? What's your take on that, Naru?
Sure, thanks, Sanju. I think it's a very important and pertinent question, and there is no easy answer for it. Because while, when I look at marginalized society, it's quite a broad inclusion framework. We are talking about, let's say, people, poor people, we are talking about people with physical disabilities, we are talking about LGBT community, everybody. I'm looking at a broader framework of everyone in that, the gamut. while yes, working from home, nobody's going to judge you. I can be in my happy place and just deliver the work. But I guess as a country and as a society, it's important that inclusivity is all about coming together. The coming togetherness is quite important, and it's less of an issue for the marginalized people. I feel it's more of an issue for the other sets of the larger sections of people who have these unconscious bias about everybody. So in fact, within our organization, we have been running a lot of programs for all our leadership. It's called unconscious brain and bias, trying to tell people that when you look at people from a marginalized society, you jump into conclusions that hey, they might not be capable of doing something, etc., and which is completely incorrect. I think first thing is about awareness, is about going through some real training on this for the so-called non-marginalized people, and we have to bring the marginalized society people more and more into the mix. So I strongly recommend that while yes, work from home can provide a bit of a temporary comfort, but from a long-term standpoint, we need people to come and meet face to face, and the in-person connect is super important. So we definitely want everybody to have the same level of privileges and convenience and access like anyone else. So I think we should work towards that. It's a very interesting question, but needs a lot of thought through in terms of how we develop it.
Absolutely, Narwa. I think our executive panel, we talked about power, privilege, and equity, right? So the privilege, the majority factor, and how they can probably influence this inclusivity, and coming out of the comfort zone can probably be easier if the environments are inclusive. Really a beautiful thought there. We have another important question, and this is from Mr. Martha Batwal. Do we rule out permanent work from home adopted by few firms? There are a few companies which have already announced that. Or should we give a thought to bring in better networking strategies while work from home permanently? So I think it's also about the connect. It's about demystifying the connect and how do we actually go about implementing that? Ritu, I would like you to take this question.
Sure. No, as we all of us know that some firms have already announced permanent work from home, or at least for the foreseeable future. So definitely this is not an option off the table. It will happen, and some will continue like this. So in terms of networking, yes, technology will evolve, like I said, to make the virtual better. Connects better, that evolution will happen. But I think one thing what likely to happen more also is that these companies who are going permanently work from home, they will have hub offices or hub spaces where people in smaller cities can get together. So even if there are 5 employees in a particular city, can get together and have their own way of networking. Because at the end of the day, man is a social animal. And completely staying, just working virtually is going to have, some long-term implications, and it's not going to be completely sustainable all the time. So these hub spaces, technology evolving, and some ways of connecting, in periodic manners. These are all options that will come into being even for the companies who go long-term work from home.
Pertinent points, Ritu. I think those small chapters, the councils that we form. I read about a few colleges and institutes in the country actually initiating that. Organizations would also, I guess, probably have started initiating that, especially when you're talking about probably new hires, people who are remotely hired, and people who are getting connected to the system newly. I think we have time for one last question, and that's on impact and outcome. And I would really like to hear both of your thoughts on that. An example of an inclusive initiative at your respective organizations, which has created the impact on inclusion, of course. So a quick snapshot. We talked a bit about them, but something that quickly comes to your mind and inclusion around it.
Okay, I can go first. So I think, as I said, So we have a very important program that we run as part of what we call the Architects of Positive Future. It's called the Digital Inclusion Program. And finally, numbers matter, results matter. So what we are doing is every year, close to about 500 odd people, we take them from marginalized society, but also people who are physically disabled, from LGBT community, everyone, and we put them through a 6 months of a training program. Of course, everything is free of cost. And it doesn't matter what their background is. They don't have to even go to college, but these people actually quite pick up technology skills in a quick way. So in a matter of 6 months, they are equipped in something or the other which is relevant to the world of technology. And after that, what we do is that we give them a choice. Either they can join Capgemini, or at the same time, we give them freedom. You can apply for other organizations, and many people join. So this is a very important initiative we have launched. And today, I'm very, very happy and proud that the digital inclusion journey has seen close to about 2,000 plus people from the marginalized society whom we have picked up, we have trained fully, and we have been able to absorb them, many of them in Capgemini, but also a lot of them have joined our peers like an Accenture or Infosys, Wipro, etc. And we are perfectly fine with it. It's about the individual and not about the organization. I think we should do more and more. There is more and more opportunity to do more and more on these topics.
Excellent, Naru. I think giving back to the community. Love it. Ritu, your thoughts? Quick initiative that comes to your mind.
Yeah. So I think our longest standing initiative, of course, for us under inclusion has been on gender inclusion. So the Women Leadership Initiative that has been running for many, many years at CS. I think in the last couple of years, we have put concentrated effort in trying to increase the percentage of women in the firm, and that's gone up specifically in India by a couple of percentage points. So that's been the needle that we have moved, and in terms of impact, we measure it. Like in the executive panel, also Thierry was talking about is it's in terms of the engagement of the employees and the innovation and the creative solutions and the diverse thought and ideas that we are able to bring to the client as a result of that.
Beautiful, beautiful, Ritu, because I think one of the earlier questions which I felt was connected to this was also on equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. I think we talked about those metrics. We talked about those. What is measurable? How do we actually ensure that our intent is translated to action? This was a conversation I absolutely loved. I think we are on time. We have exactly 1 minute more as I see it. One last question. How do you take the message of DEI to absolute junior professionals, the new, the freshers, the entrants? Three keywords from each of you before we close.
Okay. So I think your action speaks, and that's what they're going to look at. For them, it's flexibility. That's what they look for their own interest, spending time outside of work. And that's what matters to them. So that's what we have to exhibit for them. It's at every level. The measure of inclusion and equitability is little different.
Naru, your keywords.
From my side as well, I think nowadays the millennial population is more sensitive to these topics, so it's much easier for them to understand all this, and they value this as well. It's also a value proposition. So inclusivity is super important for us, and people are taking it quite seriously these days, and they are very appreciative of what is being done. And in many places, people also want to contribute; they want to participate in such initiatives, so that they also have a share in terms of effort and not just listen to about these things.
So clean slates and leaving beautiful footprints of DEI. Thank you so much, Ritu and Naru. I absolutely enjoyed this conversation. It was a delight.